I am an environmentalist. I am a human rights activist. I'm an LGBTQIA champion. This is I Hate LA, Love Me Anyway, a podcast where I delve deep into what's affecting veterans and how important environmental issues are to our community. I had a bit of a day going out for food, but I have food right now. Huh. Even anorexics have the will to live. So I'm an anorexic that still obviously eats. I am feeling slightly better, but I'm also like really, really freaked out because I had that thing again of just female overload is what I'd like to call it, because I don't think I can describe it any other way. Because it's such a big city, it doesn't really shock that there are more females in the city than there are men. And females go out more than men because men are probably working at this time. But, if a female is off, then, she's going to go out to a restaurant, to whatever. But I ended up going to my favorite little shop and I was enjoying my meal. And it was one of those days that I was super stressed, but I had the restaurant all to myself. And I should have known that there was a problem there. Because right as I'm about to fucking finish my meal, two women walk in, blah, 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 whatever. They're talking amongst themselves, I had already enjoyed the majority of my meal. I had one bite left. And I said, I'm uncomfortable already. Let me just finish the bite. And I left, which is fine. Absolutely fine. Like, I didn't have to, make a big to-do about I'm uncomfortable, I'm whatever. But then I tried to take the train back and I saw two teenagers who were on the platform. So they're on LA Metro property and they were huffing aerosols. And you have to say to yourself, like, how lame are you? You can't even do heroin? And I know I shouldn't take it from that point of view, but I don't understand people who inhale aerosols. I don't understand that. I mean, where do they get this is what's cool? Where do they get that? Because I'm sorry, we don't do movies about people who huff paint that makes it glamorous. So I don't understand why someone would do that. I don't. But this kid, he started huffing it and he took too much. So he started seizing up and, he crumpled to the ground and his friend is there. And of course, the friend is going to call 911 or an emergency or something like that. This is what happens the day after the Academy Awards. So for all those kids who say, I want to be an actor, I want to be, a writer, I want to work in this entertainment business, I'm going to refer you to the incident that just happened of some kid, even with, you can be Iron Man, you can be Hawkeye, you could be the Hulk, you could be Captain America, you could be all these amazing things, but he chose to be a loser. So what good is this entertainment industry if, I really should have an OnlyFans. But OnlyFans said, no, you can't have an OnlyFans. You're too good and pure. So no OnlyFans. But I do have a Patreon, which is kind of the same thing. It's in the link in the description. And I know, I don't mean to be all shirtless. It's just that I was wearing my power vest. And when I wore that power vest, it started chafing my nipples. So my nipples just need to breathe and heal because they're super sensitive right now, and I don't like them being like super sensitive. And I really should put something over it and not just be shirtless for no reason. I mean, it's not like I got muscle or something, it's just this is what I'm working with. I got nothing, so it's not even tantalizing, it's just it's a human body, whatever. But speaking of bodies, that kid was just left there, and his friend just dragged him onto the train and just they went on their way. I have to check. No, it hasn't even changed color. If it was like that raw, I would have been. Jaden, do not ask that question right now. Do not ask that question. Wrong time. Wrong time. All right, so I was concerned. I made a station report. It's like, what are you gonna do? But I also said to myself, you had to do that at my station. You could have done that at any other station. I've been there before. They have homeless flunkies, milling about. They don't do drugs. So I'm shocked. I'm shocked. But anyway, on the way back, uh, I got to, I guess, Union Station, and I had one stop left to go. One stop left to go, and just women just decided to snatch up all the seats around me, and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Like, if you need to sit down, please enjoy the seat. I'll wait for the next train. I don't have to take the train with you if you're going to be sitting next to me. It's stupid. It's extremely stupid to even think that way. But I think that way because I have PTSD from military sexual trauma. And I feel that way because when I have been on LA Metro women have groped me. If it didn't happen on LA Metro, and if LA Metro was this respectable place where people aren't being groped, then I could almost say, look, I have an issue because I have PTSD, but you do whatever. But because I can't trust a bunch of strangers to keep their hands to themselves, I had to get off the train, and I got off the train and I went to play the piano because it's so neglected. And like nobody was playing it. So I played it, and then over the loudspeaker, some woman just, and it shut off my PTSD. I was in the middle of my song, I couldn't finish it. So I left, I took the train, I got to my station, and of course, at this point, I'm just hungry, famished is the word I would use. So I went down to my local store because, I want to support my community. I don't exactly see eye to eye with these people, but I mean, if you're going to give your money to something, I mean, I would rather give my money to my own people. I know it's super rude because I set off a whole argument about how immigrants only want to go to immigrant restaurants, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Say no to my own people? Of course I'm going to, do that. English power. Pretty much. So I have barely made a single step into this restaurant, and straight up, the old man behind the counter just sneezes into the air, into everything, and I'm like, great. But I mean, even if he does that, I mean, you'd have to be really, really sick to get sick from that. Like, he didn't sneeze directly on my face. I mean, my food itself, which I probably should have like reheated, but I mean, that's what saliva and stomach acid is for. I mean, I want the people that serve my food to learn how to sneeze properly, because when I sneeze, I do the dab because that's how you're supposed to do it. I mean, it's really funny, and it's reminiscent of Chris Pratt from The Office, but not The Office, Parks and Recreation. I keep forgetting that the Americans stole that and then they made a second one. Yeah, it was from Parks and Recreation. Do I like scary videos? Depends on the context. I like scary films. I don't really like scary videos because it just upsets me. Like I saw one where this kid jump scared another kid and the kid like hit him in the face and I'm like, you're fucking 10. You're 10-year-old and you just smack someone in the face. What if he had an injury from that? You broke his nose, whatever. I mean, is he supposed to live with that and you put that online? Is that who you are now? Okay, bounce, dude, bounce. What's your favorite hentai? Anything with tentacles. Look, I love many things, but definitely tentacles or what I call the the Great Seed. I watched one where I kid you not, where she was in love with this bug creature, and the bug creature, let's just say, filled her up. Just filled her up, and they were like hatching inside of her, and I was just like, wow, Japanese people are very different from me right now. Very, very different. I know this isn't every Japanese person who does that, but there's an audience for that somewhere. It's not me. But there's an audience for it somewhere. So I just stick to my tentacle stuff. Like that just makes more sense. Mm. Oh, there's nothing wrong with breaking up with people. I mean, if you break up with streams, you break up with streams, you break up with people, whatever. But anyway, I mean, the food came out well. I mean, it tastes like somebody sneezed on it, but at least he did it in front of me and, wasn't, scratching his bowl bag or something 10 seconds before he hands me the food. Hmm. Did you like the new Marvel movie? I get in so much trouble. I get in so much trouble because these people are trying their hardest to say, dude, we need you to get over your PTSD from your military sexual trauma so that you could act in this film and be Spider-Man Miles Morales. I can't get over being sexually abused, and I can't get over my PTSD because I live in a situation where I have to ride public transportation and I live in a neighborhood which is the farthest away from anything I ever want to do. Like, I decided today I wanted ramen. There are no ramen shops in this neighborhood. I mean, there's like a Chinese food place down the road, but I mean, it's not ramen. I want ramen. I like Asian food when, I'm not stuffing my face with Mexican Americana. Oh. Jaden, I've thought for the longest time that you have the most interesting life and that you should be the new face of Dos Equis because you are the most interesting man. Mm. But I don't know. I don't know. Do I like the new Marvel film? The new Marvel film is rough. It is super rough for me. I've gone on and on and on and on about it, and I just have to say that was an important storyline. It wasn't the story I wanted. Like, they literally took that storyline and just went, here you go. They snatched it out of thin air. They weren't trying to weave anything in. It wasn't, oh, well, I heard in Hell's Kitchen there's this guy named Daredevil. Really? What's a Daredevil? What does he look like? Oh, he's got the horns on his helmet there. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I know that they don't normally do that. They don't. But even Venom, who is on the Sony Marvel universe, said, "Oh, isn't that Peter Parker over there?" But within the own MCU, this is the own MCU, they couldn't tie in anything. There wasn't even an end credit scene. That is not an end credit scene. That is something you should have left in the movie. It was so inconsequential, and I guess it goes to show this was the test of, are you truly indoctrinated into Marvel? Are you a Marvel fanboy or are you a cinephile? I'm a cinephile. I love movies. Even though I hate actors, I still love your movies and I still love you acting in them. I just don't like you as people. I'm gonna think that through. I think I'm correct. They used this movie as a test. They allowed it to go the way it did to show we're gonna have to just dumb things down, and I don't like that. Because now Marvel has every right, every indication that instead of delivering thought-provoking storylines and storylines that they have already, and then weaving these kind of storylines into that, they're just gonna say, "Hey, what's that 90s song that you like so much? Can we play that as somebody goes whoopity whoop 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 and starts punching someone?" I mean, this is why I love Harlequin Birds of Prey. I like Birds of Prey. The soundtrack just annoyed me. It annoyed me because it was all these songs that are supposed to be your favorite or your new favorite, and there wasn't a cinematic score. I like it when my hero films have a cinematic score. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you you're seeing man cleavage, and I understand that. Ah, appreciate it. I will try and bring the camera super close to my face as I eat on camera because I'm a savage. I eat that way. Ah. Thunderbolts, I don't know if that's going to have a cinematic score. I don't know if Fantastic Four needs a cinematic score because it's set in another decade. And it's just to suspend disbelief that all these people who you know, I don't know what they're going to come up with, but Pedro Pascal is Reed Richards, and Reed Richards, super genius, businessman on the rival of. I mean, he's more of a scientist, but he's a businessman too. So I don't know. Marvel is going in a direction, and I don't know if I want to follow. I'm looking at this current film, and I'm saying, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you're trying to say. I just don't like how you're saying it. And I don't like that you chose to say it there on a big screen. On a big screen, I really can't take what they're trying to talk about here. Just write good stories. They have good stories. They have brilliant stories. Brilliant stories to the point where you say, "Oh my God, this is amazing." But they're not bringing that to the screen because they said, We want you to see a 4 foot tall Israeli Mossad agent instead of, anything that was MCU canon. They didn't want to do that. They just said, here, take a look at this woman who is 4'2" and enjoy that in this story, which, by the way, should have been on Disney Plus. That's what you're supposed to do. Your mother has PTSD as well? I did not know that. And there was a kid who said, fight me, and I did. So then he got mad and broke his own phone, TV, and glasses. Ew. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, you shouldn't be fighting at all. Try and find an adult to speak to. I mean, when kids are, being that kind of way, just shut it down. Speak to an adult, and a trusted adult, obviously. I watch movies to escape reality. Now is the message. Alexander, I want to have this conversation with you because I think you might understand. Movies help you escape reality, but sometimes they also highlight what is going on in your reality. I've been trying my hardest not to just ruin the main plot of this film, but there's 6 people in here right now. I don't really care that much anymore. So they are talking about the manipulation and the hypnotism that happens because of technology and social media and how easily that can be used to just turn people into sleepers. And it makes a really, really cool premise because you never know who's going to be activated, who has, secret commands from way, way, way back, whatever. But that's everyone. When you think that in the film they use like some stupid song that you've never heard of, but how many songs have you heard of that you said, that's an amazing song, it's my favorite song, and you don't know what's in the words, you don't know what's in the music, you don't know what's behind the music, you just assume that it's just music because that's all you can hear. But if you heard more of it, you would probably be horrified. I put this on the same playing field as Josie and the Pussycats, and if you don't know what that is, I will have to put in the link. I'll put in the link retroactively. So Josie and the Pussycats and the Captain Marvel trailer can be side by side. And by the way, I love Josie and the Pussycats. And they were making valid points too. All these people who have super, super popular songs, you don't know what is actually in those songs. It is Scout's honor that they're not trying to manipulate you, sell you a soft drink or a car or a cell phone or something like that. You don't know. So when Marvel decided to tell this story of, hey, we're the kings and queens of manipulating people because you see our stuff everywhere. You know Josie and the Pussycats? Then you know what I'm talking about. The mega machine. Oh, it helps your vocals sound better. I'm like, I bet it does. The soundtrack is amazing. I've always loved Josie and the Pussycats. I love it for its music, but then I also love it for the fact that it made me realize that I would always want to be an independent artist. I would always want to be someone who has 100% control over the music, what's in the music, what's behind the music, all of it. Marvel did a bold, bold move with this film, and people are trashing it. People are saying it's one of the worst Marvel films that they've ever done. It's bad, but would you rather live in ignorance? Would you rather have a Marvel that is nothing but CGI and 90s groove? Hey, can you play Shoop for Deadpool so Ryan Reynolds can, be goofy with it? It's like, I love Deadpool because he did that. But even now, I am I'm concerned because the last Deadpool and the Wolverine clearly showed that, at least tangentially, Deadpool is in the Loki universe, wherever that is. How do you bring a character like that into anything else? Because Disney and Marvel are on a sanitized, like super family friendly. Um, I don't know how Deadpool fits into any of that. I mean, I guess it's easy if there's an alien threat, but I really doubt some of the stuff that he does. Oh, hello, Sunflower. Welcome back. Infinity. Okay, people don't understand. Infinity War took like 20 films. Iron Man went through 3 films. Thor went through 3 films. Captain America went through 3 films. You had Black Panther. You had Ant-Man, who did 2 films. You had Guardians of the Galaxy, which did 2 films. You had... Thank you! I've decided that I'm going to try and bring out more of my indigenous side, because I'm an indigenous person when I'm by myself. Like, being shirtless and not having to wear much and soaking up the sun and singing and dancing, well, that would be telling. But since, we're close, I'm going to say Zatanna, John Constantine, Supergirl, Superboy, Superman, Green Lantern, The Flash, Batman. Oh, and Superman after that. And also, I like a bunch of DC characters that they haven't even touched. And I won't say them out loud because I want to walk into Warner Brothers Studios and say, did you read these DC comics? Because these DC comics are going to make the best TV show ever. So I have to try and refrain from revealing who these people are, but they were amazing. I've reread that entire comic series over and over and over again because it's just that well written. Because it's not just about superpowers, it's about gender issues, it's about body dysmorphia, it's about honor and family. It's about so many deep things that all of these hero movies are just missing. I love Harley Quinn. I even like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn because she does such a phenomenal job. Like I say, I like acting. I like what they do. I just don't like them as people. I almost feel like Harley Quinn should have gotten more. I mean, I know she had like an animated series, but feels like 20 people are writing on one script. The people that go into writing right now, they're not professional writers, they're professional screenwriters. They don't live lives like regular people. There are a couple of feathers in my hair. I don't know if I can get a little closer on here. There's my chief feather, and I guess my family feathers of family members that I have yet to create, but one day perhaps I will make that happen. Oh, 20 people writing one script is an issue. I think I read off the names for Captain America Brave New World. It was like 3 guys. But even so, it was the same 2 guys who did The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But if you did The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, if you're the writer responsible for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, wouldn't you, because you know the source material, because you wrote the source material, have to say to Marvel, yeah, this is a TV show. It's the 2nd season of this TV show. No, that's a fair question, Sunflower. It's not a problem that 20 people write it. It's that it's such a disconnected mess when you have multiple writers. When you have single writer screenplays, single writer movies, you get a full movie because it's a vision. It's a coherent vision. When you have that many people, they just go off and say, well, I'm going to write this part because I'm more interested in it, and I'm going to write that part, and they don't talk to each other. Which is why in Captain America Brave New World, you have 2 things in the same film. Okay, you have the Captain America versus the Red Hulk, but then you also have The Falcon and the Winter Soldier season 2. So there's a huge disconnect because I don't know about other people, but I wanted to see Captain America versus the Red Hulk. And that just take up a whole, I don't know, 1 hour and 30 minutes, not a 10-minute fight. It's a 10-minute fight. What are your favorite movies? Um, I like I like weird things. I like this film. It was like Till There Was You, and it stars Sarah Jessica Parker and Dermot Mulroney, I believe is his name. Anyway, it stars a bunch of people, and I think Saffron Burrows is in it. And it's all about just misconnections and how people. I'm not cosplaying myself. I'm just being myself. I mean, I guess it's a little weird because I have the accent, but this is what happens when the white colonizers come to your area and just tell you this is what you do, this is what you sound like, and if you don't, well, you'll have issues. Same thing that happened to the Irish. The Wind That Shakes the Barley. If you ever see that film with Cillian Murphy, it begins with a bunch of Irishmen just being themselves, trying their hardest to survive in their situation, and the English come down on them for not being English enough, not speaking English properly, and they torture and kill a kid for that. And you think, oh, that's awful, that's awful. It's like, no, the English did that everywhere they went. So when my father had to grow up, he had all of this, but he had to speak proper English. So My father would, I guess, be an off tribe of Azteca from where he's located and his family, an Inca, but my mother was Catawba. So I'm native on both sides, indigenous on both sides. Oh. And welcome to my chat. And it is pretty cool. It is cool to know your heritage and know that I have a responsibility when I have my children to teach them where they come from, teach them our traditions, teach them our heritage. Because that isn't taught in school. And it should be. Most kids don't know who they are and where they come from, and then they act out. And you could say, well, if you knew some of the traditions of your people, you would be better. Den of Thieves is my favorite movie. I think I saw that. I saw a trailer for it. I don't know if I've seen the film. Is that with Clive Owen, right? I've liked Clive Owen from Sin City. I just saw a little trailer clip of him with Rosario Dawson and Devon Aoki, and just phenomenal acting because it's beautiful, it's gritty, it's just there's a play. You see, this is why I like Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez takes these graphic novels and he brings them to life. You cannot write a better film than From Dusk Till Dawn. From Dusk Till Dawn is a scary film. Absolutely scary, because the whole time leading up to it, you thinking, oh, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it's just a silly movie. Look, everything will be fine. And then things are not fine, like super, super quick. And I guess, Robert Rodriguez just understood that because he directs so well. I mean, if you've seen Desperado, it's just good. Not to say that Marvel films aren't. They're just, you just expect different things from them. Never seen Dusk Till Dawn? Dusk Till Dawn holds up, and you will see the people that are in that, and you will say, I know who you are. It's like, I'm seeing you at your prime. I'm definitely seeing you at your prime. Ah. It stars Salma Hayek. It stars Quentin Tarantino. It stars George Clooney. It's a fantastic film. In fact, I gotta look and see if I can watch it somewhere. I need to see it. I need to see it again. Oh, wow. I consider myself a Two-Spirit First Nation person because I understand what it's like to live in a community and have love for your brother, love for people that you hunt with together, that you sleep next to. I haven't been able to experience that, but I appreciate that. That's a fair question. I am very bisexual and I am two-spirit, so I have two genders within me floating around. I consider myself transgender because I don't consider myself cisgender, and I don't really consider myself non-binary. I just consider myself someone who is aware of the duality within. That, and I like really loose-fitting clothing and, letting a breeze against my nether regions. So I usually wear a sarong or some sort of wrap around my bottom half, and then the top half I just merman it out. Hidden Figures. Okay, Hidden Figures shook me to its core because I'm an engineer, and I'm an engineer that joined the military, and it was one of the last films that I saw with my mother. And we had this moment of, well, this is what you're going to do, this is what you want to do with your life. You want to be that engineer that helps astronauts, if not an astronaut that goes to Mars. And instead, they injured my legs and they sexually abused me. So there goes that dream. I'm still trying to make that happen. Change.org/Genius to Mars, the number 2, obviously. So Genius to Mars on change.org, change.org/Genius to Mars. That's my petition so that I could find a nice lab in a European university where I could perfect things like the commute or the gravity well. But as far as like Hidden Figures, unless you read the books, most of these people you would have never heard of before. Because everyone likes to say, Neil Armstrong, Neil Armstrong. I'm like, well, Neil Armstrong didn't go to the moon by himself. Even he has to admit, there were several people, hundreds of people, building his spacecraft, doing the math to make sure that everything was up to code before he just popped off. No. It's triggering for me because of what I lost when I joined the military. I joined the military because I thought, sure, I'm going to have to eventually fight some Afghanistan people or, some Iraqis or whatever. And, that would be the thing. I'd fight terrorism. But I would also have an opportunity to be a scientist among other scientists who love America and want America to do well. Am I in America or the UK? I wish I was in the UK because I'm looking at, so many countries. I'm looking at Wales. I'm looking at Scotland. I'm looking at Northern Ireland. I'm looking at all these places because I want to travel there, and I do a bit of magic. And the magic I do, I would feel would be better learned if I was actually there. I could learn native magic too, but I don't know. I kind of like the idea of exploring the very white side of myself. For once enjoying the fact that I do have white DNA. And tracing what that means. But I love the film. The film is beautiful. I like how it shows like 3 different characters that just embody Black genius. Just people of color in general who are doing more than just being, sluts in a music video or, I want to say either drug dealers or sports figures, because that's the stereotype that gets put on us. And when we're not that, we're just worthless to people. And that's not the case. There is so much genius within people of color that we don't allow ourselves to bring out. We don't wear that with pride. It's easy to put Jay-Z on a t-shirt. It's a lot harder to put the characters from Hidden Figures on television shirts. I'm sorry, t-shirts from cinema. What movie do you recommend that a real story about people that is a different color? I would say anything Spike Lee. I had this, same thing that I was saying on Thread, because they keep saying, well, a black director has never won an Academy Award. The Academy Awards are just rigged against black directors. And most of America doesn't want to see black films. And most of Europe doesn't either. So how are you supposed to appease everyone when you're trying to tell your authentic ethnic story? Hello? Um, I don't know what that is, so I'll just do you a favor and you can see me tomorrow. I don't know anything about cars, unfortunately. I'm an engineer. I'm interested in mechanics. I'm not really that interested in cars. I used to think it was because I just don't like driving, but I think it's because I've always seen through them and past them. When you think of a car, you think about this singular experience where even if you're the most perfect driver in the world, you have to compete, and I say compete, against the other motorist. The other motorists are sometimes more dangerous than the road. So, what if you just took one of those variables out? Either you take the road or you take the motorist. Because I think deep down, people don't want to be drivers. There are some people who want to do NASCAR, but those are sports. I think most people would rather be a passenger. And if they would rather be a passenger, they could be a passenger on maybe an airship. I think past whatever this nonsense is that happens in cities. I see past it to cyborgs and giant AIs that control things, and yes, skyships. It's going to happen eventually. Like, why not just let that happen now? You mean to tell me people would rather sit in traffic than be in a giant spaceship, which is a mini mole? I've never laughed so hard in my life. NASCAR isn't a sport, it's just turning left at high speeds. Those are fighting words. Look, if people want to watch that, more power to them. I don't think they really want to do it though. If they wanted to do that, they'd be a NASCAR driver. But there aren't that many NASCAR drivers. I like robots and program. I like that too. I think we should lean more into that. I mean, people are constantly saying AI is going to take your job. AI is going to take your job. AI is going to fuck your wife. I'm like, well, I mean, it does already. It fucks you too. So are we just going to pretend like we don't have AI in our life, that we don't see them as almost human? Okay, everybody is being funny today. I needed to smile. Thank you. Thank you to my wonderful podcast family that you have all got together and made me smile. Alexander Starkwood, flush some M&Ms. That's NASCAR. God damn you. AI will take the jobs we don't want. This is why I love my podcast, because I can do sing-alongs with you, I can talk Marvel films and television shows with you, and then I can talk about this. There will come a time when people just say enough is enough. I don't want to clean my house. I want to clean those streets. I don't want to clean a high school gym locker room. I don't want to scrape the gum underneath bus seats. I don't want to do any of that. fuck it, I don't want to work in a fast food restaurant anymore. I don't want to be a teacher. I'm surprised with all of the gun violence and the shootings that happen in American schools that we just haven't had a major walkout. A major, okay, if you're not going to solve the issue with either gun control or changing it some other way, all of the teachers just walk out and say, fuck it, it's not worth your life. You love these kids, but they don't do that way. They don't think that way. If you become a teacher, it's because you actually like these misshapen, like half humans. You like them. So you want to be there to teach them and protect them. So nobody from the teacher unions said, okay, well, this is a walkout sort of situation. They didn't think that way. At my school, there was a shooting and I was scared. You should be scared, but you should be even more scared that before that happened, they didn't do anything. And I'm not talking about, going through your locker and reading your diary sort of thing. I saw someone today with a clear backpack. They didn't seem to mind. I don't know if this person was a high school student or not. It was like really far away and I didn't really want to get into this person's business. But I thought for a second, what is so wrong with asking high school students to just adopt that as a practice? Or asking, students in general, can we take you to a gatehouse before the school so we can like search you properly before we actually let you into the main campus? And so we know by, I don't know, like 9 o'clock that we've checked the majority of the students, if not all of them, for weapons. And then we also have a gatehouse there. So if people from outside try and do stuff, we have someone there. I have a petition going on where I say we have to rezone these schools. We have to change these schools from, well, this is your chemistry lab here, and then this is your gym to, no, this is your hospital. Here is your cafeteria. Here is your shopping center. Here is your after school community outreach, command post. Like, what are we doing with these schools? Because we can't just keep saying, oh, well, we teach them the Civil War, and the Civil War is enough to make them a good American citizen. I'm sure these people in Albany, where I grew up, I had to go to a New York school. Clearly it took well. Clearly I took well to that. But these people, they design curriculums and say, well, you have to be competent in this. And I'm like, can you make competent citizens? Because these people don't vote. Or when they do vote, they get seduced by the cult of personality. And it's just, they forget that the community needs them, not a politician, not a president. Your community needs you. Which is why this whole podcast is, I hate LA, love me anyway. Because I really do hate LA, because I hate the people. But I don't hate the soil, I don't hate the land, I don't hate the animals, I don't hate the trees. I just think the people suck horribly. And okay, at my school, teacher care about saving their self than students. I wouldn't see it any other way. I know it's really harsh to say, but in an emergency, it really is one person by themselves. You can train and you can drill for okay, we're all gonna coordinate, we're all gonna throw our books and our pencils and our little erasers and that'll see us through it. But if it really happened, you got maybe one person doing that and like 10 people running the other direction. Okay, I wanted to teach, but then I saw the parents, I got out so quick. That's half the struggle. I say this in as many podcasts as I can. Homework is not for the student, it's for parents. But parents don't see it that way anymore. And Governor Gavin Newsom, ah, that guy actually has a podcast. I have a podcast. Why does he need a podcast? Because if he has a podcast, I have to say, you have a lot of free time. It's not time that he could have used to maybe check fire equipment. Oh, I'm sorry, that is beneath him to do. As if California doesn't have a problem with forest fires for years. But right after five in Los Angeles, one in San Diego, but 6 in his state of California. 6 forest fires, but now is the perfect time for him to tell jokes on his podcast. Because it's so funny that firefighters pretty much order themselves to run towards a giant wall of fire. And normally that's a house fire, an apartment fire, a building fire, not a forest fire. I have a petition in my description because I said this has to end because these forest fires keep happening and they keep throwing bodies at it, either firefighters or guardsmen. What part of the inland empire are you in? Oh, I'm in California. I wish I wasn't. I really do wish I wasn't. Karen Bass isn't much better. Politicians are just terrible people. If you want to be a politician, you're a terrible person. I actually put in a petition to declare my candidacy for mayor. I'm not even sure that's a good idea because I could get more done as a community leader. Because that's what I do. I would rather energize my community and say, this is what we have to tackle. Let's get that done. When I say to California, we need to irrigate every single one of these forest fires that you let dry out, that has to be done. Because Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass, they're not going to put that to a vote. They're not going to make that an executive order. They're not going to do any of that. So I have to. Ian for LA mayor. Would it really be the worst thing to have an indigenous person who listens to the ancestors and communes with spirits and animals and plants, but still can write economic policies that strengthen the economy for the entire state? I mean, you could do with the worst candidate. Plus, I make really, really slutty house music. So it's not exactly like I'm devoid of connection to young people. I'm the best thing that ever happened to California, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. A lot of people come to California and they hate it and they complain. But I'm a rare breed of person that says, here are the things that I complain about, and here's what we can do about it. Not just, oh, that's unfortunate. It's, what if we could fix it? And also, what if we could fix it and make money off of it? I just made a brand new petition, which is getting no love, about reclaiming the space for landfills. It's not a sexy issue like immigration or, giving foreign aid, but it's just as important. Those landfills are toxic landmines. I could be president, which is why I'm fighting so hard to resist the urge to run to Canada when I know that this country is the reason why Canada has forest fires. This country is the reason why there's pollution in the world. I could run for president if I wanted, but I would rather be president of Mars. I'd rather just invite people to leave, because as much as I want to work within the system and help people within the system, I also think that people should walk away. Walk away from America, walk away from its economy, walk away from its people in its drama, walk away from its education system. You shouldn't let your kids grow up in America anymore. It's not helping them. It'd be better if you homeschool them. Thank you for supporting a fellow podcaster. Clint is a fantastic podcaster. I am chasing this one piece of lettuce. So tasty. I'm pretty sure you meant to say climate change. I'm going to do you a favor and just remove that. And if you want to type it again, please do. Hi, Max. Hi. So I need signatures for change.org/clear smog, and I need signatures for change.org/clean air disco, because that's how I form a concert tour. What I want to do is go to Canada and say, I have this many people who are looking to be fans and looking to come out to hear me sing and perform. So I need venues. Help me with those venues. And until I have that, I can't just say, okay, well, I've got a concert on Tuesday, here you go. I need my fans to do a little bit of legwork and then kick back and let me perform for them on a Canadian stage. And speaking of which, concerts, I literally give a concert at Union Station every time they tick me off. I have to stop doing that. When do you think I will receive them? I am steadily increasing supporters and subscribers for... Yeah, you did it again. For this podcasting channel, but I haven't seen anybody really moving my music, so it hurts, but maybe people just don't like my songs. That's okay. It does mean that I can't do a concert to just 5 people. So I'm gonna have to do my part also. You like my songs? Oh, thank you. I was listening to my songs on the way back here, and I had no idea that, they were so cool and so funky. They really are nice. Oh, no. I'm going to save you from that. Oh my goodness. What is climate change? So climate change is a combination of several factors. Normally, the Earth does heat up and get cold, and it just goes through a cyclic nature for that. The only problem is, now you have a species on the planet that is doing everything to breathe out carbon dioxide and then burn anything that produces oxygen. And I feel a little sad that that's the truth of what that is. We breathe out carbon dioxide, and then we get into cars that put out carbon monoxide, and then we use products that create nitrous oxide and sulfur oxide, and we don't think that goes anywhere. We don't think that that comes back into us. I'm glad. Max, thank you so much. I have to say thank you for being a true fan and for believing in me. And I won't let you down. I'm going to try harder too. But when you throw all of those hazardous materials into the atmosphere just holds on to it. So things like heat can't even escape. So over time, temperatures rise and climate zones shift. What used to be a desert in Mexico is now the desert of California. It just jumped. What used to be tolerable weather, mild hurricanes, are now severe because the water is now warm. And warm water means hurricanes. Cold water means ice patches. And thank you, Sunflower. I appreciate it. Alexander Stark, I agree with you that in the grand scheme of things, it isn't as much as what we think. But where do you live? If you live on Krakoa in the middle of the Pacific Ocean with all your mutant friends, then it doesn't really affect you. And it's just like California pollution, who cares? But if you live in a city like Los Angeles, where every car is pretty much idled or parked and just pumping out carbon monoxide, it's gonna be bad for your health. It's gonna be bad for your children's health, and it's gonna change the climate. And unfortunately, it's not like the evergreens that probably once lived in that area but are now burned could just magically turn into a succulent plant. It's just, that's not how things happen. So instead of having the right trees for a brand new climate, you have trees there now that are just drying out. And the same thing is happening to people. I feel so helpless. I feel so helpless because I'm trying to explain to you and to as many people as possible that this drying out of the forest, that happens to us too. Every time a person says, I'd rather drink coffee, or I'd rather drink that brown liquid, whatever that is, that has bubbles. Anytime they say something like that, I'm saying, you're not drinking water. You don't think water is good for you anymore. Nobody thinks that way. Everybody drinks something other than water. That's a bad plan, because it means that everyone is drying themselves out, and you can't be dry, because you dry things out like your nose. That mucus is probably your best defense against viruses, bacteria, and fungi. You have to set reminders. You have to get apps that tell you when you should have an 8-ounce glass of water. You should be bathing, not showering, because you really need to just soak in that water. You need to just live a life aquatic. I say this as a mutant who pretty much lives that mermaid life, mostly because of the PTSD, but also because it makes more sense for who I am and what I do. I can't expect people to do that, but I can encourage them to just drink some water. You know, you can have your drink some other time, but at least a couple of glasses of water can change your health. You, it's not enough to feel bad about what happened to LA. We need to do something because the leadership in California literally has said, we don't care about animals being burned alive, birds being burned alive. We don't care about your houses being burned down. Not really. We don't care if you lose loved ones because there's a forest fire going on. We don't care about any of that. I care. I say that California has to stop having forest fires. Forest fires can happen for many, many different reasons. But one of the reasons why they happen is because it's so dry. It is dry because it is too hot. This is not a rainforest anymore. It's a desert. And that scares me. That scares me that people don't realize that you're not living in California anymore. You're living in Mexico. Because the weather and the climate and everything, that's Mexico. Which is why it used to belong to Mexico. But people moved here and they said, we'll make this happen. We'll make this work. We'll, whatever. I don't like to think that way. And thank you, Tammy, for appreciating my accoutrement. I'm just rocking more of my indigenous traditional clothing, and I like being myself. I like walking around as all of me. Because when I open my mouth, all people are here is the English side of me. And they don't know the medicine man, shaman, the chieftain that I am. And I wish they would. But I will read what you say. They don't care about that until they're the ones burning down. That's a problem. That's a problem. I can't expect people who don't feel connected to nature to know what that means to be connected to nature. Somebody on a previous podcast made a flippant comment about schizophrenia, and I said, you know what, now is not the time, but let me address it later. So I'm going to address that now. There is the white version of schizophrenia, which comes from Freud and all the other medical doctors, and then there's what Native American and First Nation people believe. Native American and First Nation people believe that there is a world beyond the world that we can see. And sometimes that bleeds over into our reality. But we know how to handle that for the most part. Because we allow ourselves to be open to it, open to intuition, open to feeling something more than just selfishness. Alexander Stark, thank you for coming in today. I appreciate it. And thank you for the subscription. And please come back anytime. I love having engaged, intelligent people come in here and teach me something. That means a lot. Because you never stop learning. People need to care because it affects them. Of course, it affects them. If you weren't burned in the fire, you were choking on smoke. California was engulfed in smoke. But we don't talk about that in California. We talk about the Oscars. That's the kind of people we are. And I love how, I don't know who, but someone was like, we love California. It's like, yeah, you can love California. California doesn't love you back. When California burns down the forests, and I will say California burned down its own forests, that's not love. Like, wake up, people. It's because California doesn't love you that you have forests on fire, that you have crime, you have police brutality. If we did the bare minimum of trying to talk to each other, try to take responsibility for our own little towns and villages, we'd be better off. I live in a neighborhood that does its own neighborhood patrol, and they teach people to be militant, but to protect and to stand up for their people. It's like, that's all well and good. Are you going to police your own people? Because you need that too. It's not enough to just say that you're protecting it against white incursions. You have to protect it from people who try and bring drugs into your neighborhood, try to hook your kids on drugs in your own neighborhood. Sorry for bringing this up. What are you sorry for? Like I always say, speak your mind. I'm all about, at least speak your mind. I have the right and discretion to change things. When was the last time you did a sweat lodge? I do that on my own now. I don't have any connection with my own people because of the fact that I live in California and because I have PTSD. So all the things that I could do, I can't do anymore because it's too much for me to be around other people. But I support people who do that. And I still keep up the practice. I just can't do it with other people anymore. California has some accounting to do. It has to take responsibility for the state of its economy, the state of public health, and the state of its people. If the people are in danger of awful crimes like arson or kidnapping or assault, then that's on you. Ah, guess I'm a wee bit hungry. I'm for it. I hate that I don't have a deeper connection to my own roots because I want to so badly. I want to be in an emotional state that I can give up on materialism, give up on just the nonsense which is consumerism. See, we're already making connections. Ah. I like the idea that no matter where you come from, you can come online and you can meet people who can teach you something or a new way of looking at your own world. Never stop learning. Always push yourself to question and discover something. I called up the veteran organization that's handling my disability claim, and they assured me that by the end of the day, I was supposed to have seen an update. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm concerned because it just seems to be slow and slow and slow. But that's the time that you have to have faith in yourself, faith in who you are as a person, and that other people will see that. More than my veteran benefits, I need to find a way to inspire people to care about the community. I'm going to read what you said, Sunflower. I hate how I have anxiety when I'm in public. Don't hate it, accept it. This is the reason why I have a service animal. And I encourage you to maybe consider that as a path for you. Because my service animal accepts that I have anxiety. She accepts that I have anxiety and PTSD. So if she can accept it, I can accept it and just say, this is who I am now. And sometimes you want to have that. I have this like weird thing where I don't like to have people behind me. People sneak up behind you all the time. I would love to, be a director so I can have a scene where somebody just goes, ha 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 ha, gotcha. But that doesn't happen. And if they did say something like that, you would be frightened and you would be anxious. So why not just be anxious and say, I don't like this or I don't like that. She's currently exhausted. So she's doing her part of trying to sleep, but also watching out for me. In a world where I have such a hard time connecting with people, she connected with me just fine. I'm going to read some of these. That's bureaucracy for you. Slow and stop are there two speeds. I love to think that way, but then I also have to think, no, this is America. This is my country. It's your country. It's our country. If we don't like something, then we have to change it. We can't just say, oh, well, I mean, that's just the way things are. That doesn't do anything. You have to actually say, this affects me. Does it affect you? Okay, if it affects you, then let's do something about it. I have a petition in my description, which is change.org/LA veterans are 100%. I encourage you to sign that. Because that would cut through this nonsense of the Department of Veteran Affairs. Because the Department of Veteran Affairs is a federal organization which hates veterans, absolutely hates us. They employ lots of veterans because that's their way of saying, we hate you so much, we want you to hate yourself because you will be the one who tells other veterans that no, they won't have their benefits. And that no, they can't live by themselves in a house where, they don't have to worry about, neighbors trying to break in. Wear that with pride. If you have shutters that then, oh, sorry, you have stutters. If you have stutters, then just own it. I have problems speaking. I really do. And ever since my last concussion, it has really gotten bad. And I should be embarrassed about it, but then I realize I could also maybe speak a little slower. I could maybe take off the processing and instead of trying to filter, just speak from the heart and let that be enough. And maybe that's something you might want to work with a speech pathologist on learning how to restructure how you converse and the syntax that you use in order to reduce the amount of stutters that happen. I mean, we talk about learn American, learn English, learn English. Well, English is very, very different to different people. Even people within the same state don't speak the same language. So maybe it might feel like a stutter to you, but it might be that you just speak a different kind of English or a different kind of language. Even without trying, you just do. I used to say that I have an English accent, but it's not exactly true. I speak Ian. Whatever Ian is, I speak that. And don't let people make fun of you. Say it with pride. You're different and cool. You know how many rappers stutter? Do you know how many, actors have problems with public speaking? No. No, I don't do art for the love of it. I do it for art therapy. So many people, they actually love art. I don't. I love science. I like discovering new things. I like exploring. I want to be an engineer and I want to be an astronaut. I don't want to be an artist. As much as I want to do a concert for the people who want to hear my music, I also want to inspire them to just get out of a bad deal, because it is a bad deal to not own your own property, to not live at a higher standard of living. My mind was opened when I was on that journey of, okay, if I leave LA, I might move to another place. Thank you. I will remember that. And thank you for coming to my chat. You're welcome anytime. On this journey of where I was going to move to, I started looking at other states and other apartment buildings in other states. And I realized that all the things I like to do, I like to watch a bit of Disney, I watch a bit of Amazon Prime, I like to play video games, I like to cook for myself. I could do that anywhere. Even the weather, I can get somewhere else, or I could just turn up the thermostat if I really miss California heat. And that is the way for most people. Most people don't realize that you're not even enjoying your own cities. You're not. Oh, I have lives every day, pretty much. I usually have a live around 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but now I seem to be having them throughout. So if you subscribe, you'll get an alert. If you want to come, great. If not, that's fine too. Sorry. Spicy. Hmm. But if we think that way of, well, I'm not really enjoying the city, I'm not really doing anything with it, then why are you there? You're there mostly because you got tricked into a routine and you got tricked into time that you don't understand what time is anymore. This is one of the blush you. Thank you. I used to love this TV show, Charmed, and Piper, she could freeze time as her magical power. But then she started to also blow things up. I started to think that when we blow things up, when we break up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend, when we either quit or get fired from a job, we are reintroducing ourselves to free time. You can use that free time to have a date night for yourself, read a book, watch some telly, do whatever, go to school. You could do a lot. Or you could sleep. What exactly is 2 o'clock? What is 12 o'clock? What's 11 o'clock? Because that seems kind of meaningless unless you attach meaning to it. Like at 11 o'clock, I'll feed the cows. And at 2 o'clock, I'll feed the chickens. Then you have some meaning behind that. You don't have meaning when someone says to you, show up in this office at 8 o'clock. It's like, show up for what? Because if you show up, then at the end of 5 days' time, then I pay you. If you boil down a job, that's what that is. You're just waiting to be paid. You're waiting to see a return on the investment of your time. And by the way, that time is precious because that's time that you could spend by yourself. That's time that you could spend with your family. That's time that you could spend with your friends. And I know that your friends aren't paying your bills, your kids aren't paying your bills, but your time is still valuable to you. I mean, I asked for my veteran benefits mostly so that I can have time to maybe heal myself enough to find someone that I can start a family with, or maybe just go on a decent date. I know that that's ridiculous. PTSD from military sexual trauma, and I'm thinking to myself, I want to do story time with my kids and help them with their homework and, sit in a restaurant with someone I like. But these are things that I can't do right now because I can't connect with people. I can't connect with people when anytime I have to go someplace, I'm afraid of being assaulted or sexually assaulted or murdered by these people here. So it's a very stressful situation. But if you take back your time, then you have something about you. More than money, your time has value. Because you can only be 21 once. Some people say 21 forever, forever 21. You can be 21 once. And I know that I look like I'm not aging or changing or whatever. I'm just doing it very, very slowly because my brain is certainly maturing. I'm a deep, deep, deep thinker. And I think that something like AI is not the villain in the story. I think the villain has always been that clock that's on the wall that says your life is not your own. The calendar that says every 7 days is the end of the world. Why do you keep coming back? And I'll also answer Sunflower. Is it hard living with PTSD? PTSD. It is extremely hard to live in PTSD. And why do I keep coming back? Why do I keep coming back to this apartment? It's because I do live here and it is slightly better than being on the street. I did think for a second that I would just buy myself a tent and just put myself out there, but that's not really practical. And if I'm being honest, I have to value myself higher than simple street trash. I'm more than someone who just is on the streets because they want to use drugs, or that, they're so mentally disturbed that, the streets are all that is available to them. I'm a person of worth who has a plan for this state, this city, this country, this planet, this species. I have to do the bare minimum to say, I need to see this through. I have PTSD, but I got to put myself on Mars. I got to put this country on Mars. I have to fix the city of Los Angeles, even though I hate these people, because who else will? Who else will? Why do you keep coming back? I come back because who else is going to save these people? I know I have a savior complex that I'm accepting so much abuse from this city and this state. But no matter how much they abuse me, they need help. Like there's something fundamentally wrong with them if they don't see that. So I can't just leave them. Not like the Air Force did to me, because the Air Force left me to be sexually abused. But I was taught by the 105th Airlift Wing of Stewart Air International Base that you do not leave an airman behind. So these people aren't exactly my airmen, but they are my people, and I have to defend them. It's what a hero does. Ah. I'm a messy eater. Oh, very messy eater. Ah. It's really easy to just say, I hate the world, I hate the people. It's harder to say, why? I go beyond even that and I say, how can I change? How can I make it so that these people can feel that change within them? And I say, I just have to strengthen their economy. When California is the richest state, not only in the country, but in the entire world, I will see the change. Because poor people, they act like they have nothing to lose. Rich people, they act like they have everything to lose. They just don't let you know that. So I'd rather have a bunch of rich Californians who are invested in the state than, poor ignorant people who don't know or don't care. This city and state needs help, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I hate every last one of them. And even as the mayor, I will say publicly on my inauguration how much I hate them and also what I will do to change the things that would make them into better people. Having better healthcare, having a better education system, having help so that you can raise your family properly. These are things that are important. It takes a village. So maybe California just needs to be a really, really connected village. So I'll take them there. And over time, things will get better. My name is Ian Iliana. This is I Hate LA. Love me anyway. I look forward to seeing you on the next podcast.